G'day Year 7 mathematicians and welcome to the eagerly anticipated Lesson 3 and the final one of the week on the much promised drawing pie charts. So if you can draw a line under the previous lesson's work, today's date and the title of drawing pie charts. Okay, your do now task is on the screen for you there. I want you to answer which is the most common pet, how do you know, and what fraction of the pets are cats. And there are 3 hamsters. How many pets are there altogether? So can you work out the total number of pets that are involved in that pie chart for me? Okay, so while I'm having a go at those, most common pet there is dogs. How do you know? It's the largest section. It's got the highest fraction on that pie chart. Okay. What fraction of the pets are cats? Well, that little symbol there, the box in it, shows that it's 90 degrees. 90 degrees is a quarter of the pie chart. 90 over 360, that's 1/4. So fraction of pets, cats, is a quarter. There are 3 hamsters. How many pets are there in total? Well, again, hamsters represent a quarter. If we're told a quarter of the circle is now worth 3, because there are 3 hamsters, we can times that by 4 and we'll get to 12 in total. So there are 12 pets in total there. So today we're going to be able to draw a pie chart to show a given data set and be able to compare data shown on pie charts. So first up, we're going to have an example of how to draw a pie chart. So in a survey, people are asked to indicate which one of 5 musical instruments they played. The information is given in a table and we're going to then display this information in a pie chart. So first thing we need is, once we've got the frequency, so that's how many people do each instrument, we then need to know what angle we're going to get, and all angles must add up to be 360 on the pie chart. You're going to use every single part of it. So first thing we need to know is, how do we get the frequency and angle to work those in alignment with each other? We need to get from the frequency the angle with times by 4. So whatever the frequency is, times that by 4, and that's what you get to the angle. So each instrument, each person, when they say which instrument they play, that is worth 4 degrees on the pie chart. So if we times by 4 from the total, we would times by 4 for the rest. 35 times 4, 140, 10 times 4, 40, 60, 20, and then 100, and then you double check. Those numbers, the 140, 40, 60, 20, and 100, must add up to be 360 degrees. Okay, then you use a compass, or if you haven't got one, then perhaps just draw around a glass or something circular that you've got in the house, and you'll draw a centre dot and a straight line up from the top, and that is the start of the pie chart. You'll then put your protractor on, and the first one we'll look at is guitar, and from that line, and remember where you've got your baseline, you're going to look at the 0, which is the outside number. You'll go round to 140 degrees, and you'll then draw a line to the outside of the circle, and that then, labelled up, would be guitar, 140 degrees. You would then repeat for a violin, but this time you'd place on the end of where guitar finished. That's then where you place your protractor for the next one. Paying careful attention to where 0 is. Once again, it's on the outside number, and violin, it tells you an angle of 40 degrees. So you go around to where 40 is, draw your straight line. You should note as well, guitar and violin added together is 180 degrees. That is half a circle there, and note how we've already now completed half of the pie chart. Next instrument, recorder. Move your protractor around to where we've just finished. Measure off the 60 degrees, and don't forget every single time to label each section. So that is the recorder, and then you'd follow the same format for drum at 20 degrees, and then I would just double check that the last bit, it should be 100 degrees, but you can double check the protractor that you've made that correct, and that's 100 degrees as a keyboard. Now here are 4 more that I would like you to do as well. So don't forget to note exactly what that table should look like. You'll need a total column along the bottom, and then you'll need an extra one for angle. So you'll draw these tables into your book, and then I would like you to do a pie chart for each of those 4 nice and accurately for me. So if you pause the video there, that'll be about 10 minutes work, I think, for you. Okay, and once you've produced your tables, this is what the pie charts should look like. Okay, just put in a few little abbreviations, which is absolutely fine to do when you're doing the pie charts, or alternatively, where we've put B and we're referring to basketball on the bottom left one, you could alternatively draw an arrow to that section and then write basketball, because obviously it becomes a bit of a squeeze to fit that word in on there. So, Tahir is drawing a pie chart using the frequency table. Tahir's calculations are in red, so they're on the outside around the box. Explain the mistake Tahir has made and then construct an accurate pie chart. Okay, so I want you to pause the video and think, what mistake has Tahir made there? So, obviously, we should be able to see from those angles on the right hand side, 5, 7, 4 and 6.5 degrees, that's never going to add up to 360 degrees, so something has gone wrong here. Now the frequencies, he's added those all together, absolutely brilliant, that makes 90, and he knows it should be 360 in total, but he's gone the wrong way. It should be 360 divided by 90, which gives us 4, and that would be our multiplier. So you then multiply the frequency by 4. So for hockey, you'd in fact need an 20 times 4, you need an 80 degree angle in your pie chart. So you'll need to correct that for me and then construct the accurate pie chart with those corrections made. Next up, we've got another table here, and this time we're looking at information about the colour of students' eyes in class 8A. And this is again the key bit that you would highlight. I think if you see this as a question, there are 30 students. So I would highlight that 30, and you're going to now complete the table and draw a pie chart to represent the data. So this is using a little bit of the information we had from the last lesson that we did together. So I would put in a total section where you know the total angles will be 360 degrees. The frequency is going to be 30. So what does one of the frequencies represent in terms of an angle? What have you had to multiply to get to that? And then you can start to work backwards and fill in the rest of that table and then draw the pie chart. If you're a little unsure, you can leave the video running and I'll put up a few hints and slowly put up all the answers. If not, pause the video and have a go at completing that fully. So I think the most sensible place to start would be a total. Angle of the sector 360, and we know the frequency is 30. What have we done from 30 to get to 360? We've multiplied by 12. So I will go through and fill in all the frequencies and angles there. So brown, frequency of 6, we're going to multiply it by 12, 72 degrees. Hazel, we're going to do 8 times 12. Then I'll jump to silver, because we'll come back and do the other two in the middle there, blue and green. Silver, 2 to 24, and then amber, we don't have any information for that one, so we'll come back to that one. So if I've gone frequency to angle is timesing by 12, to go from angle to frequency, we're dividing by 12. We're going the opposite way here. So for blue, 60 divided by 12 is 5. For green, 48 divided by 12 is 4. And then we know the total frequency must be 30. So to work out amber, we can do 30 minus 6 minus 8 minus 5 minus 4 minus 2. That gives us 5. 5 times 12, once again, 60 degrees. Double check, all those add up. Yes, they do. That's 360 degrees. And then you can draw the pie chart for that information. Okay. And when you're drawing the pie chart, it doesn't matter in what order you put the colours in. You don't necessarily have to go with brown, hazel, blue, green, silver, amber. Is that order going around clockwise? They can go in any order you wish, as long as you get them all on there and labelled correctly for each sector. Okay, so now we're going to have, rather than sort of some multiple choice, it's true, false, or cannot tell. Okay, so as these come up, you're going to pause it and make your selection, and then the answer will be revealed. So first up on this one, there are 3 boys in the school. We cannot tell. Okay. There are 3 boys in the school. We don't have the amounts there. Arguably, actually, on that one, you could perhaps go false because if we've got a quarter of them red, because we've got the 90 degrees, a quarter of 3 wouldn't be a whole number of boys, so there can't be 3 boys in the school. So although that one says cannot tell because it doesn't tell you the numbers, I think actually you could go false on that one. There are more girls than boys. Okay, on this one you definitely can't tell on that. We have no idea. You can't tell from the sections there whether there's 100 girls and only 50 boys asked. There's no way of telling from that information. More girls chose red than boys. Now this I think is one of the more complicated ones on here. I would go for this one, cannot tell once again. More girls chose red than boys. What I would say is correct is a higher proportion of girls chose red than boys, because in terms of a fraction there, we know boys, only a quarter of boys have chosen red, but for girls that's maybe we're nearing to a third of girls have chosen red. So in terms of a fraction, yes, but in terms of actual more girls, seeing as we don't know how many are being asked in each of the pie charts, we don't know a total number. So for all we know, again, it could be that only 20 girls are asked, or say 21, a third of 21 would be 7 would have said red. But if maybe 100 boys were asked, a quarter of that would be 25. So in fact, still more boys would have chosen red than girls, but it's just a higher fraction of girls have chosen it. Next one, blue was the most commonly chosen colour. Okay, this one would be true, because in the boys section, blue and green look like they were equally the most commonly chosen colour. And for girls, blue was most definitely the most commonly chosen colour. So together, they have to be the largest amount, regardless of the number of people that are asked. It has to be the most commonly chosen colour. Oh, last one. Green was the least commonly chosen colour. Again, this would be one of these that you can't tell without knowing the full amounts. Okay, it was the least commonly chosen colour for girls, but it was also then the joint most commonly chosen colour for boys. Without knowing the numbers, we can't add them together to make that conclusion. Okay, so we've been able to draw some pie charts together to show a given data set, and then we've had a little look at the end at comparing data shown on the pie charts and how important it is to know certain information, certainly to do with the total number that have been asked. Final question, which is a nice complex one based upon the same pie charts we've just had a look at here. If the number of boys who chose green was the same as the number of boys who chose blue, what is the smallest number of boys that could have been asked? So once again, also you've got to think they've got to be whole numbers. Okay, so you couldn't just say one person chose green. That means one person chose blue, because red is a smaller section, so you need less than one there. So I want you to think very carefully how to work that out and what would be the smallest number of boys that could have been asked. Okay, so I want to see some fantastic working out for that and thinking around what that answer could be. Okay, for those that need it, I will put up an answer right at the end of this video. But for the rest of you, well done on watching the third and final video of the week. Just log on to Hegarty and check the sheet at the start of the week to make sure you're submitting the correct work. And then do watch those videos on Hegarty just to help out that little bit further and really consolidate your learning. So well done on another week. Then year 7. Speak to you again next week, and have a good weekend and take care of yourselves.